Hey friends, welcome to today's video. Today I will be applying a full face of makeup. I'm using a lot of products that I know and love. I'm mixing in a couple of new products to try and test, but I am going to be trying some different techniques. I'm going to be mixing products together to see if I can achieve even better results than I already get from these products. So today's kind of like a makeup experiment, shall we say. Let's go ahead and get ready. I don't have anything on my skin right now except my skincare and my tinted SPF, which I happen to have here because I'm going to film a video after this of my most repurchased skincare products, and it's this guy here. If you've been following me for any length of time, you know I love this product. This is the Elastin Hydra Tint Pro Mineral Sunscreen. So this is all I have in terms of like color on my face is that tinted SPF. Okay, so for foundation, I grabbed two foundations that I love. I knew I wanted full coverage today and I wanted to have a full face of makeup, but I didn't want anything that looked heavy. So for full coverage and something that would last all day, I grabbed the MAC Studio Fix Fluid, but I also wanted to bring this down a notch and dilute it a little bit. And my favorite product to do that with is the Dior, I think this is called Face and Body, or it's Dior Backstage Face and Body Makeup. So I'm gonna mix a little bit of this with this to get the perfect full coverage, but more natural, lighter finish. I don't know that I've ever mixed it with this one. Maybe I have. Watch it be in a video I did 2 years ago, but I know I've done this with other foundations. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take about a half a pump of the Studio Fix Fluid. I'm not gonna take a full pump of this, just a half a pump. This is pretty full coverage. And then I'm gonna go in with the Dior, and we're gonna do, I would say, I definitely have more Dior mixed in than the Studio Fix Fluid. I would say the Studio Fix is about 1/3 and the Dior is about 2/3. That's the ratio that I'm working with. And I am gonna go ahead and use my finger just to blend these together, and we're gonna go and apply this to the face. Also, this is a great little technique to do if you have a foundation that is maybe a little too dark or a little too light for you. For example, the NC27 right now is a little too dark for me, and this Dior is a little too light, so the perfect shades balance each other out. And I'm just gonna use my fingers to kind of dab that onto the skin, and then I'm gonna use my BK Beauty 106 brush to blend it in. So I'm working on building a kit here for the studio so that I can bring different people in and do their makeup. And you know, I have a ton of foundations that match my skin tone, but that's about it. So I wanted to share some of the formulas that I'm buying. I am buying a few shades of the Dior Backstage. I'm buying some Face Atelier shades because that's my favorite, and then I bought some Armani Luminous Silk foundations. Those are the foundations that I felt like really are just versatile for all skin types and just look really beautiful, give great coverage, but don't look heavy or not, or you know, too cakey on the skin. Perfect. Okay, then we're gonna go and apply the other side. I do remember, I think it was maybe last summer or the summer before, being obsessed with mixing this with the NARS Tinted Moisturizer SPF. I remember that combo was really beautiful. I need to revisit that. Do you guys mix foundations together? If you do, what's your favorite combination to mix? I always love when I have the extra time to plan my makeup, doing that, picking my like favorite full coverage foundation and just bringing it down a notch with more of a natural or luminous foundation. That's a great way to give more of a subtle glow if you want a good balance between having a glow but also having long lasting makeup that's full coverage. Okay, and then I'm just gonna take whatever's left on my hand, on my brush, and run that on the forehead. What I also love about this Dior Backstage is it gives a very natural skin-like finish. It doesn't look powdered or matte, but it's also not like iridescent or glowy or dewy looking. It's just very natural skin. Okay, perfect. Yeah, so see, if I wanted more coverage, I could have always added a little more Studio Fix, but I think the coverage that we have is perfect. I'm gonna go in with concealer, and I am using the NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer. I lost my train of thought there for a second, and this is the shade Light 2.75. This might actually be a little too light. Let's see. I don't know. This is gonna kind of brighten it up a bit. You know what I'm actually gonna do? I'm actually going to take this on the back of my hand, and I'm gonna mix in a little bit of that Dior Face and Body, tiny bit, just for color sake. That's what I'm doing here. And I'm gonna spread it with my finger. Ooh, that's beautiful. That is just like the most beautiful coverage. And then I'm gonna take my BK Beauty 110 and just blend out those edges real quickly. Oh, that's beautiful. That Dior Face and Body is gonna help your concealer from creasing. It's gonna help set it and keep it more long wearing. If you have trouble with your concealer creasing throughout the day or moving or migrating, that will really help that. That'll be a great product to mix with really creamy or radiant concealers. If you need that added hydration from your concealer, but you have issues with, again, your concealer moving or creasing because the product is too creamy, that Dior is a great product to mix with it. That's something I love about makeup, is it really can be like an experiment. You know, there's no rules to makeup. I like to really approach makeup, and I've kind of gotten out of this approach. I really used to have my head there when I was a working makeup artist and I was working on clients all the time. I really would look at makeup products as like mixing mediums and things that I could use in different ways. I didn't get so hung up on the fact that like, oh, this is a product specific specifically for the cheeks that's a highlighter. You know, obviously this is not, but I think that now that I'm not doing makeup as much as I used to, or I'm not really doing much of it at all, I'm really looking forward to doing more of it on my channel coming up, but I've really gotten out of that mindset, you know, and just kind of getting more hung up on, oh, this product is for this purpose and just using it for that. But when you can get out of that and really look at makeup as like art, you know, think about makeup as adult art. I think it really expands your creativity and it just makes it more fun. Okay, so next we are going to fill in the brows, and I am working with kind of a new product. I don't know if I've shared this here on my channel. I actually got this a few months ago. I played with it a couple times. This is a Too Faced Fluff and Hold Laminating Brow Wax, and my girlfriend Chelsea used this and just had to show, I mean, she really got the look of laminated brows. She has fuller brows than I do. I did like the look of it on my brows, but it wasn't quite the same as hers. But I'm going to use my Charlotte Tilbury brow pencil. This product is really great for giving, you know, lots of color and definition on the brows. And then I'm going to go in with this and kind of brush the hairs up to give that laminated brow look. I keep toying with the idea of doing microblading again. It's been a couple years since I've done it, and I definitely, it's all kind of worn off here at the start of my brow, which is where I need it the most, but I'm just hesitant to do it again. If you have microblading done, will you share your experience down below? I never had a bad experience with it. I always liked it when I did it. Someone raised a question to me about it, and I wasn't sure. They weren't saying for sure that this happens, but it did kind of raise the question and make me think about it. They wondered if microblading could cause damage to the hair follicle. If you have issues with your brows not growing, if doing microblading can kind of make it worse. I don't know if that's true or not, but the fact that she asked me that and I hadn't considered that before was like, huh, maybe I should consider that. And I use brow serums and products to help with growth, but nothing that has like really completely transformed my brows. Not like lashes. You know, lash serums work on me really well, but the brow products will help a little bit, but I want like really full, thick brows. And I just will maybe never get it. That's okay. Okay, so now that I've created my shape, I'm gonna go in and use the gel to comb them up and also kind of hold them in place. This is a clear gel, there's no color to it. There is an excess amount of product, so wow, I don't know if you can see this, you guys, but I am actually removing, I don't know if you can see that or not. I just removed a ton off of here because when I went and did that, I just got so much product in my brows. Ooh, gosh, even still so much in there. Eesh. Oh no, I think I got way too much in here. Let's wipe this off with a tissue, like completely get all of it off so I can just use the comb. Well, I don't know about that. That looks a little odd for me. I think because I just applied way too much on this, not intentionally, it just, the wand holds so much product. Let me go back and kind of, okay. All right, well, it is what it is. This is an experiment. Some tips may work, others might not. I don't know that that's something I'll be doing again. All right, you guys, so let's go ahead and move on. I am gonna warm the face up, and I'm using a powder bronzer. I'm using the NARS Laguna bronzer, and I believe this is the matte version. Yeah, we're gonna use the matte version. And I'm just gonna use a large powder brush. I'm using the BK Beauty 103. This is our original large powder brush, and I'm just gonna softly kind of sweep this onto the face. This bronzer is very warm and actually very dark. Too dark for me. Okay, so we got a little too much here. I'm just gonna kind of take my time to blend that out. Then I'm gonna take my foundation brush. I didn't add any product to it. I'm just using, you know, what was ever left on it. And we're just gonna run over that to soften it. Perfect. So for blush, I'm gonna be working with two products that I love. I'm working with the Hourglass blush stick in the shade Loyal. And then I'm gonna go on top of it with this powder blush from Jane Iredale. This is the shade Cotton Candy. It's a really beautiful pink, but it has some shimmer. So I'm gonna use this kind of as a little topper on my blush. Like this is a warm peachy pink. This is more of a cool pink, so I'm going to use the two together, and then I'm going to use the shimmer to give a little bit of a highlight to the cheek. I'm going to use the BK Beauty 112 blush brush to blend both of these out. I believe this brush is currently out of stock as I film this, but you guys, we are restocking. Either we would have just restocked by the time this video goes up, or we will be restocking within like days of this video going up. So I will definitely leave an update down below because we've been out of stock of a lot of things lately. And as a reminder, if anything that we restock on was out of stock during the Mother's Day sale, I know this is getting complicated, don't worry, everything will be down below. You'll get 20% off of it because we had this sale for Mother's Day. We don't have a whole lot of sales throughout the year. So whenever we have a sale and we don't have something in stock, what we like to do is honor that sale price when we do restock that item, because that's nothing worse than like wanting to buy something on sale and then it being out of stock. That's not fun. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to take the 112 brush, I'm just going to go straight to the product, and I'm going to concentrate this kind of more on the apples of the cheek, and then I'm going to take that Jane Iredale blush and I'm going to put that just directly above it and kind of sweep it up. I love this color and I love this formula. It's just so easy to work with. The only complaint I have about this is you can't really, I don't think you can put this down, or at least mine will not go down. So whenever you put it back on, and the packaging is like, it's a triangular, you have to get it right in or you'll get some of the product on the top, which has happened to me a few times. Okay, next I'm gonna take the powder blush and we're just gonna take a little bit of this and we're just gonna place it right kind of on top of where I applied that cream blush. We're not bringing it down as low, just slightly above and then blending it up. Do you see what that's doing? It's giving a really pretty highlight because of that really fine shimmer. This is a brand that is so, I don't wanna say underrated because actually you all love this brand. Anytime I mention Jane Iredale, I have so many positive comments in the comment section, so it's definitely not underrated, but it's not talked about enough on YouTube. Am I right or am I right? I fell in love with this brand last year. They make some really beautiful, beautiful products and they're very, very mature skin friendly. Okay, so that really lit up the cheeks, gave a nice highlight, added some color. Okay, for eyes, I wanna keep the eyes pretty classic. I'm gonna go in with a paint pot. This is the shade Layin' Low. It's a really pretty warm, very, very pale peach shade. And I'm gonna apply this on the lid with my finger. I really like to use my finger for products like this because you can really spread it out and keep it light and sheer. With these particular products, you want to keep them sheer. They are cream, which can be very complimentary, but they dry down to a matte finish. And if you apply too much of it, it's going to make the eyelids look really dry and accentuate texture. So don't put too much of this. But this is such a beautiful cream shadow. You could leave it as is if you want a really natural, soft look. I use these as eye primers because I find them to be just some of the best. They just hold onto shadow all day and they're just so easy to work with. I love the formula. I'm going in with the Charlotte Tilbury Luxury Palette, The Sophisticate, which I think is the perfect name for this little shade range. I was obsessed with this palette. I still am, but I think I went on like a social media just like tangent on this product for a couple weeks and I brought it back. It's just such a good one. It doesn't look like much. It actually looks extremely boring, but this palette, when I use this, it's actually the days that I feel like my makeup looks the best. So I'm taking the lightest shade and I'm taking the BK Beauty 201 brush and I'm just kind of sweeping it underneath the brow to give a soft highlight. The shade looks really white in the palette, but if you use a large fluffy brush like this, it's gonna apply it real light and sheer. Next, I'm gonna take the shade right next to it. It's this cool tone matte brown. We're gonna use the same brush. And I would say I'm gonna keep this in the crease, but I'm actually gonna kind of sweep this all over the eyelid. It's gonna be my crease, but it's also gonna come down to my lid. This palette is one that I passed up for so long, and then when I finally bought it, it was like one of my favorites. Okay, so pretty. Next, I'm gonna go in with the darker brown shade. I'm gonna take a smaller brush, but it's also gonna be a blending brush. It's this one right here. I'm gonna use the tip of this. This is the 211 by BK Beauty, by the way. Use the tip of this and add this darker shade. And I'm gonna keep this on the outer corner and then kind of work my way in to the center of the lid. I'm not really running this in my crease. I really just wanna keep this more so focused on the lid, but the outer corner of the lid. I'm gonna line my eyes with this Dior liquid pen. This is the shade Matte Brown. And I'm gonna keep the liner really, really thin. I'm gonna try and keep it concentrated as close to the lashes as possible. I almost want this just to enhance my lash, like the root of my lashes, but not really look like liner. So pretty. Okay, for the lower lash line, I'm gonna switch to a bronze pencil. This is from Smashbox and it's the shade Penny Lane. I love this pencil. It's called the Always Sharp because whenever you twist the cap off, it sharpens the tip of it. So you literally get an always sharp tip. And I'm going to run this on my lower lash line and I am gonna run this from my outer corner to about a little more than halfway over. I'm gonna soften this and smoke this out. So don't worry that it looks a little harsh. Perfect. Okay. And then I'm going to take a bit of my bronzer, actually. We're going to take the NARS bronzer and we're going to take the BK Beauty 210 brush. It's a little pencil brush. And we're going to run this just over that lower lash line. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a larger shadow brush. This is the 203. I'm going to use a tip of this and I'm going to really run it and like really diffuse that lower lash line. It's going to make it a little thicker, but it's going to make it really soft and diffused. I love this bronzer underneath the eyes. It's like a really warm shade, so it just looks beautiful. Lovely. Okay, before I go to apply mascara, I'm gonna go ahead and set the face with a little powder. I'm using this Jane Iredale. This is the Broad Spectrum SPF 30, and I'm using the translucent shade. And I'm just gonna run it down the center of the face. This is a great on-the-go touch-up powder. I am gonna take my bronzer brush, blend it in, kind of warm up the center a little bit more. Next, we're gonna curl the lashes. Okay, and I'm gonna load up my lashes with primer. And this is something I've been doing recently that I wanted to share. I've always talked about how, you know, applying mascara on wet lash primer is the best approach. And even better, like do one eye at a time. I noticed such a difference by doing this. So load up one eyelash with lash lash primer and then go in pretty quickly with your mascara. I'm gonna go in with the Nikki LaRose and the Girl Lactic collab mascara. I love this because there's a dual-ended mascara. You've got lengthening on one side and then what they're calling detailing on the other side, which I find really great to go in and like separate lashes or use on the lower lash line. And I'm gonna layer this directly on top of that lash primer. This mascara gives great length and volume. It's really more of a lengthening mascara I find, but you do get great volume, no clumping. It separates really well and you just get a really beautiful, like defined, long lash line. For lips, I'm using Charlotte Tilbury Iconic Nude Lip Pencil. And I'm gonna kind of fill the lips in with this. This is very much different than the lip color I'm gonna be using. I'm gonna be using BK Beauty Lipstick in Beauty, which is a kind of bright pop of pink. But I'm using the Charlotte Tilbury Iconic Nude to kind of be a good neutral base for the lipstick. It'll just kind of neutralize it and tone it down a little bit in color, but it's also going to be really nice when the lipstick wears off to have a kind of a neutral lip pencil underneath. So we're just gonna do one coat of this. Oh, I love this combo. I love this combo. So having that Charlotte Tilbury Iconic Nude Lip Pencil just kind of neutralizes this lip color a little bit. It's a little bright pop of pink, but it's certainly not a bold color, but it just kind of like ties the eyes and the lip color together really nicely. I'm gonna use a clear gloss to top this with. This is the City Beauty City Lips, just for some high shine. Perfect. And last, I'm gonna set everything with the Milk Makeup setting spray. You can always take your large fluffy powder brush after you've applied setting spray if you want to just press the setting spray into the skin, kind of help it set a little quicker. So this is the finished look. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'll have all the products that I used along with the shades listed and linked in the description box below. Thank you for watching this video and I will see you in my next one. Bye.